Good morning, friends, and welcome to Mahindra Truck and Bus presents Rising Star, a Trans India exclusive. In the last few years, technology has had a huge impact on the road transport industry. And while the senior transporters deserve utmost credit for adopting technology, literally from zero to where we are today, the youngsters have been instrumental in opening the doors to technology. Today, except for driving trucks, everything else can be managed with technology. Transporters have invested heavily in technology of all kinds, right from tracking a truck to keeping an eye on the drivers and also overall operations. At the same time, many youngsters have also invested heavily in education. For example, a rising star in today's episode is pursuing further studies from United Kingdom and has also prepared a research paper on logistics, of course after extensive study. I have been following his journey since the time I met him at the Empower program at IIM Ahmedabad and then at the War Room, an initiative by Mahindra Truck and Bus. This initiative has changed the lives of many youngsters who have attended the program. We are extremely delighted to feature in this episode of Rising Star presented by Mahindra Truck and Bus, Rishab Gandhi, who heads Raman Roadways. Rishab takes us through his journey and future plans, where he is investing heavily in technology with an aim to not just manage his business better, but also to scale up in the coming years. Rishab has been experimenting with all kinds of technology that he has access to, in fact, going way beyond the conventional. He says, you never know which one might save the day for you, and he has been lucky with his experiments, thus proving his point. Here's our interaction with Rishab Gandhi in Mahindra Truck and Bus presents Rising Star, a Trans India exclusive. So, Rishab, tell me a bit about your company to start with.
So, Raman Roadways Private Limited, essentially established in 2012, and my father was into the business since past 30-40 years. But then Raman Roadways Private Limited started in 2012, and we started with humble beginnings of a few trucks and few businesses on our stride, and slowly after that it's been 12-13 years, and the company has now grown to almost 900 trucks now, and wonderful. By the end of this year we are expecting, optimistically we'll be at 1200, and the most pessimistic view would be around 1000. Okay. And we are a combination of fleet operator and third party logistics provider. So in a sense we do spot hiring and
Right.
fleet operations as well. Fleet operations is comprising around 30%, 27 to 30% of our business, and the rest is spot hiring. Okay. We have if we do an ABC analysis of our customers, we have like 5 customers which you can count on your hand.
And what segments?
So we essentially do metals, polymers, then we have FMCG. These are the main. So HUL is one of the biggest customers.
Right.
Then Reliance.
Okay.
Then we have Vedanta, Bansali Engineering Polymers, and then we have few, like if we take 90% of our business, these are the 4 people who are giving us the 90% of the business.
But tell me, Rishab, over the years, I mean, these companies, from what I've heard who are working for these companies, the margins have been shrinking. How are you managing that?
Yeah, so the margins have been shrinking, rightly so, but the margins are shrinking in terms when you keep the efficiency at a constant. Then of course, if you put it on an algorithm or an equation,
right,
you'll see the margins going down. But when you change the efficiencies, of course, when you are surviving those layers and those tides, everyone is, all major big companies are doing that. And few things over the year which has worked, I would say, for big transporters, for LSPs, but essentially they are, I would not support those policies, are the GST ones. Okay. Because it is of course a great disparity.
It's a flawed policy.
Absolutely. Even though we are the first hand beneficiaries of it, but I've strongly put this point ad nauseum everywhere that this is not. Of course, I'm wearing 2 hats right now, but when I'm talking about business, I will of course take that benefit.
Right.
But when I talk about policy and industry as a whole, I think that is one thing which is not something should be appreciated. That is one side. Then you have the Excel load revisions. So 3PL players like us, we would always be clogging with the supply of vehicles, because that's the trade-off you do, right? Because let's say you have a deficit of 20% or 30% in one particular market, you put in your own vehicles, and the rest 70% is coming from the market, and the 30% are your own fleet. So that's the trade-off you always try to fit in.
Correct.
And when you increase the load, you probably can move more load, and those transition years of 2 or 3 years where it actually happened, and so now the market has discounted itself for it, but then those 2-3 years were very good. They gave us a good chance to work on many of our internal structures. And again, as we were speaking, like in the last 2 years as well, after COVID, or not immediately after COVID, but after 1 year of COVID, the market was looking a little stagnant, and for ourselves also, we were not looking to acquire new businesses, but we were rather focusing on improving our bottom lines, improving our efficiency cycles, how best we can. You see, I'm sure you've been here and you've seen everything over the years, more than me, 10x more experience than me, but the factors involved in a logistics cost, it's not a product, right? So you make an iPhone, you make it at this particular cost, and you sell it at this particular cost. That particular cost in this industry, particularly logistics and particularly India, there are 10,000 factors which is influencing the cost,
and it's variable every point of time.
Exactly. So sometimes you're facing challenges with the driver, sometimes you're facing challenges with the accounts recovery, sometimes you're facing challenges. There are n number of different factors which can influence this, and what we did simply is just put everything on chart, whatever we could think of. What is in our control and what is not in our control. Let's just address what is in our control, prioritize it in a way that where we will unlock the most. Right? And then we started working on those few aspects. We started doing that, we saw the results, then we started taking on the others. Once this side of the table is over, the left hand side, then we started approaching the right hand side, that what should we do now for the loading unloading times, for the many things which are there on the right hand side as well, which is not in your control probably. And then when we looked at the right hand side, we had few things which we could talk to our shippers, we can get things done. And at Raman Roadways, we have like 6 plants across India where we are the sole transporters, inbound, outbound, everything we do. So it makes our playground a little bit bigger than others, and the benefit is for both, for the shippers as well as the transporters. Traditionally, what we've seen is the shippers are not really confident on this model, that you'd give your whole logistics to one particular person.
Absolutely. And very rare cases where I've seen that.
Yes. And we have very good examples with us. Companies like HUL, they've given us the whole plant, and it's been not 1 year, 2 years, it's been 8 years since we are doing that. And companies like Bansali Engineering Polymers, they've given us everything, inbound, outbound, raw material, everything, even a kg you have to lift from here to here. This is the vendor you will talk to. And that kind of trust which the shippers have put, like our clients have put in a position, for us, it's like, it's golden. It's if you try to do any hanky panky there, you lose that.
But what is it that you're doing differently to get this kind of trust and efficiency? Of course,
over the years, Girish, that's a very good question. Actually, over the years, we've seen a lot of shift from cost plus model to value plus model. That is one thing which probably, if you ask 90% of my colleagues in this industry, they might not agree to this, but I strongly believe that, because what examples I give you at Raman Roadways, what we've done is an example of people are looking at value plus proposition, right? Cost is paramount, no doubt about it.
Of course.
And we should, as an industry, agree to this, right? It is not that there is a logistics head sitting in one company and he's just trying to knock your head. It's not that. It is about the overall efficiencies what you bring to the table, right? And that we've done it. Like once you do it yourself, this is what even we did. Like when we have our old vendors, we try to put things down, because ultimately what we are trying to do is to achieve something where, how will we scale otherwise, right? Absolutely. And that is the reason we should not be cribbing about what they're trying to do. They're trying to cut your costs, absolutely yes, but at the cost of efficiency. It is not about cutting your margins down, right? And when you talk about this business and you compare it with other businesses of other industry, you can sustain good 10% EBITDA margin, of course. And if not 8% EBITDA margin, DMart is running at 7% EBITDA margins. Right? So
it's a classic case.
Yeah, it's a classic case. So and they scaled up.
Yes.
The only thing they looked for is scaling up, and that is what we should be looking at as well. We rather than seeing one trip, one truck, 1 month, 1 year, rather than restricting ourselves to one particular thing, we should look at business as a whole and see how that graph goes up. And if the volume goes up and your bottom line, as we were speaking, is unlocked and is debottled completely, there you are, you can achieve greater heights on scale.
We will continue our interaction with Rishab after this very short break. You are watching Mahindra Truck and Bus presents Rising Star, a Trans India exclusive.
इंजीनियरिंग हो या मेडिकल, स्पोर्ट्स हो या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, आज इंडिया हर जगह अपना परचम लहरा रहा है। एक साल में 13,800 किलोमीटर के हाईवे बना रहा है, समुंदर के ऊपर 22 किलोमीटर लंबा मुंबई ट्रांस हार्बर लिंक बना रहा है और बुलेट ट्रेन के साथ कई मेट्रो रेल प्रोजेक्ट ला रहा है। प्रगति की राह पर तेजी से आगे बढ़ते नए इंडिया के साथ चलने के लिए पेश है नए इंडिया का नया टिपर, महिंद्रा ब्लेजो एक्स एम ड्योरा टिपर 35 टन और ब्लेजो एक्स एम ड्योरा टिपर 28 टन। इन दोनों को कुछ इस तरह डिजाइन किया गया है कि ये मुश्किल हालात में भी बिना थके और बिना रुके अपना काम करते रहें। इसी वजह से इसके एग्रीगेट्स और बॉडी को बनाया गया है एक्स्ट्रा स्ट्रॉन्ग। ब्लेजो एक्स एम ड्योरा टिपर आता है नए वी रॉड बोगी सस्पेंशन के साथ, जो इतना मजबूत है कि ये हर तरह के कठिन रास्तों पर भी ज्यादा स्थिरता दे और नियंत्रण के साथ चले। इसमें है नया 15i बोल्ट रेयर एक्सल, जिससे आपका टिपर हर लोड लेकर चलता रहे सालों साल। इस टिपर की बॉडी दमदार तो है ही, साथ ही अब इसमें है नया हॉरिजॉन्टल लॉक, जो अनलोडिंग को बनाए आसान। एम ड्योरा टिपर में है 6000 घंटों में सिर्फ 7 शेड्यूल्ड सर्विस इंटरवल्स, जो मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट में करे 12% की बचत। और पहली बार ब्लेजो एक्स एम ड्योरा टिपर के साथ आपको मिलता है 24 घंटे का ऑन साइट सपोर्ट, मतलब 2 ट्रेन्ड इंजीनियर्स रहे हमेशा आपकी साइट पर। साथ ही इसमें है ब्लेजो एक्स रेंज का 7.2 लीटर का बड़ा और पावरफुल एम पावर फ्यूल स्मार्ट इंजन, जिसके माइलेज पर है सबको भरोसा। वर्ल्ड क्लास आई मैक्स टेलीमैटिक सिस्टम, जो आपको दे बिजनेस पर ज्यादा कंट्रोल। साथ ही महिंद्रा के सारे ट्रक्स की तरह ब्लेजो एक्स एम ड्योरा टिपर में भी है डबल सर्विस गारंटी, मतलब 36 घंटे की टर्न अराउंड गारंटी और 48 घंटे की अप टाइम गारंटी। और साथ ही पाइए 8 साल या 10,000 घंटे की एक्सटेंडेड वारंटी, जो दे मन की शांति। तो कुल मिलाकर यही वो टिपर है जिससे होगी आपके बिजनेस की तरक्की, यानी देश की तरक्की। तो आज ही अपना ये ब्लेजो एक्स एम ड्योरा, नए इंडिया का नया टिपर।
Welcome back to Mahindra Truck and Bus presents Rising Star, a Trans India exclusive. We are in conversation with Rishab Gandhi, heading Raman Roadways. But tell me, Rishab, when the companies ask you to cut costs,
Right.
for various reasons,
Right.
by increasing your efficiency, are you able to nullify that?
So let me put it the other way. When will a company come to you and ask for a rate reduction? It is probably when either they already have a rate reduced rate coming from someone else,
Which I'm sure is always there, I think.
that is
Most of the cases.
Yeah, most of the cases are that. I totally agree with you. The second is probably how the company is facing pressures on bottom line, or they want to reduce this through efficiencies. when you talk to the major, you see all these things are coming from the top management strategy team, right? You continuously see today at my company, I'm a very small player. At my company, I feel that we have achieved a lot in terms of efficiency. If you see the chart of the last 5 years, we I remember we were in the same war room, and this gentleman, I forgot his name, I think he was with the in the panel. He said one very interesting thing. We generally underestimate ourselves for 10 years and overestimate ourselves for 1 year, right? So if you see a graph of a company for the last 5 years, we are pretty much sure that we've done whatever we could. But even then, this office where we are sitting is continuously pressurizing the people on the ground. Pressurizing in the sense, pressurizing is a negative word, but we are continuously on a stride to
encouraging them to
improve
better, yes.
do better. And it is not about to increase the efficiency or pocket in more money. The point is, one fine day, someone will come in, and where we started, that they will reduce the cost. And how do you counter that?
Absolutely.
Right? You have to always, in the quoted words, always be ahead of
competition.
The competition,
Absolutely.
in a way that your costings, it can be through any measures. If anything is being adopted anywhere in the world, for that matter, you should know about it. It will work here or not, that's secondary, right? But you should know everything. So out of 100, when we sit here in this office, when we do our R&D, we have a big R&D department which is continuously working on the vehicle side, on all different facets, in reducing the loading unloading time, the AI vision cameras to count bags, everything. Now when we do that here, what we are trying to do is we get to know about 100 different things in the world or in India or some other people are doing. The ultimate thing which goes down on the ground is 1. So the turnaround ratio is just 1%. But that doesn't mean you avoid the 99, right?
Absolutely.
You have to keep listening.
You have to keep trying, yes.
Your ears should be on the ground always. Absolutely. That what's happening and what's not. What you see as the next big challenge, and when you do that correction in beforehand, it is very less likely that you will lose on businesses until and unless there is a superficial condition which is beneficial to the other shipper, which is beneficial to your competitor and not to you. That can be a case where you cannot do anything, because that comes on the right hand side of the graph.
That's beyond your control.
That's beyond my control.
Absolutely.
So we have to leave it. But when you talk about traditional, normal business, and that's why we say that increasing our efficiency, staying ahead of the curve, has helped us on the bottom line, because we feel that we are already a little bit better. Not absolutely better. No one can be absolutely better.
There's always a marginal
There
difference.
is always a marginal difference, and that margin is everything, because it's wafer thin.
Absolutely.
And when you see the jump we have to take next, and when you're already ready for it, then you're always ahead of the market. And the first mover market advantage is what we've seen and read in our books, is already you can see on the ground.
Rishab, how much has technology helped you in this entire process? I mean, I'm sure everything is backed on tech.
It is totally. Of course, the team effort is paramount, but the kind of technology we are seeing right now, and the kind of things we are at war. Logistics industry, in essence, I'll just take some time and explain this to you. What I feel essentially what is going probably wrong with our industry is, if I have to just put it in 2 buckets, the number 1 would be the TAT, the loading unloading times, which we see is a great challenge. Now that particular thing, I am a little bit less bothered. The reason is that is ultimately being paid up by the shippers, and they know it, that they are paying for it.
You get paid adequately for that?
No. So in sense of, let's say we have a contract from X to Y. Now when I quote a rate, I go to the market, right? Or I work on my own vehicle's cost, right? Now what do I assume? The primary assumption is, let's say that X to Y is 1,000 kilometers, right? And I have to go one side loaded and come back empty. Let's assume that. So that's 1,000 going, 1,000 coming back. Or let's make it 500. So 500 going and 500 coming back, and 2 loading unloading instances. Right. 1 loading and 1 unloading instances. your best bet, you don't have to be an expert for this. The best bet is you will always assume that I will just do 5 trips, which is 5,000 kilometers.
Right.
What you are discounting here is that I will almost take 24 hours at the loading point, almost take 24 hours at the unloading point. Because if that is not the case, if I'm loading and unloading in 2 hours, my assumption will change drastically and I'll talk about 9,000 kilometers.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Now when I quote or when I see the rate in the market, this particular thing is already discounted to a certain number of hours. Right? Now he's paying it. It is not a good thing. It is not going in anyone's pocket.
Yes, it's actually a waste.
It's actually totally a waste. If you, I've sent you the paper. If you've seen that, there I've specifically mentioned what is the amount we are losing in terms when it comes to the delayed loading and unloading.
Right.
Now, when it goes beyond that, then you are underpaid for sure. Right? If you assume 24 hours as your window and you go to 48 hours, you are getting paid for those 24 hours. That 24 hours payment is substandard and below what you should get paid, for sure, no doubt about it. So that is the first window. The second window we talk about, and it is less bothered on the first side.
Mm-hmm.
The second window is the driving pattern and the driving behavior we see on the road. The vehicles in what we have right now are inferior when it comes to the global standards or other people. Now we are not sticking to why we are talking about global standards, because those vehicles are quicker. They are fast. They come on the highway and they go on 90 kilometers per hour. In US, we are seeing 120 kilometers per hour. So why they are able to do that? The OEMs are right now not making that kind of vehicle. Why? They are not to be blamed. Why? Because even if they make it, Volvo has done it. They've sold few hundreds.
Yes, but the reason doesn't support it.
Infra doesn't. Infra is still good.
Better, but the traffic
management, the traffic sense, the way we are distributing the licenses is essentially the root causes that we are fundamentally flawed there. And if you go to see in a very different way, Girish, you'll see that if we have a better driving sense, I bet that we would rather, as a common man who has nothing to do with logistics, when he's driving on the road like a snake, he's probably directly, that thing is impacting his wallet by the means of he's getting those tomatoes and potatoes expensive because the logistics cost is already expensive.
Absolutely.
Right? When you see to it from that lens, and if they know it, that if I drive in a particular lane disciplined way, if I take care of all, the rules are already there.
Yes, the rules are there.
Everything is there, and the government intent is also there. When we see like the way infrastructure development is going on, everything, but till the time this particular thing is not rooted out,
that self-discipline has to be there, which is not there at all.
Not there at all, in the sense we see 332 deaths per million population in India, which is worst. Abnormally high, because you see how now that particular thing is actually hampering our whole ecosystem, our whole backbone of the infrastructure, of the logistics infrastructure. If now you see there is a chain reaction. The drivers don't want to come in because of these conditions.
Yes.
No one values them because the discipline is not there.
Correct. Right?
So when you talk about this one small thing of adequate training and license, I'm not talking about just a truck driver. I'm talking about every driver.
Everybody, yes.
That one basic thing is not there of license distribution in a right way. That one fundamental flaw which we did years ago is now hampering us to unlock that, to go to that next level. Right now, when we see our ministers, our people talking, and rightly so, that we are a little expensive then it comes to the global standard of we are 14% on GDP.
Yes. We
cannot rather see that on head-to-head way, but then on absolute numbers, we are the industries which are using logistics. On absolute numbers, we are at around 23%, which is high, very high.
Yes.
And when you see that, the reasons for all these things boils down to these two buckets, essentially.
Yes.
And these two buckets can be addressed. The first one, as I said, I'm little less bothered about that because they're ultimately paying for it.
Right.
It is wasting. On the overall, GDP level or economy level, it is getting wasted.
Correct. I mean,
But
your logistics cost can come down by just addressing that.
only by
Simple.
addressing
Just it's a simple thing you need to do.
that you've been fighting for,
Yes.
and for a long time I've been seeing even all the transport unions and
Yes.
everyone are raising their voices on that. And the second thing is, of course, I see more important to be pulled out to the people, because it has this one small tweak can give you benefits on multiple fronts.
Absolutely.
Safety, your pocket, because see, for a common man, you imagine for someone a 2,000 rupees saved, and I can guarantee you this, and I'll have those numbers very soon with me, and I'll share it with you. I'll guarantee you this: a normal family, if the lane discipline is observed, with few assumptions, if we take out, a normal family can at least save 2 to 3,000 rupees on their pockets, because milk, all the agri
Everything.
products, they have an essence of 35 or 40% of logistics in them.
But even our truck drivers need to be disciplined, because what we see now is truck drivers are all across the lane. So if you have a
Right.
3-lane highway,
Absolutely.
you have drivers on all 3 lanes. So
Absolutely.
the entire ecosystem has to
It is
evolve.
again come back to the licensing part,
Yes.
right? Even if you are giving a license to a truck driver,
How simple was it for you to get a driving license here?
should I be honest? So
I drove 50 meters and I got my driving license. So
it was I did not even go for the license
exactly. I mean,
process.
it's a joke.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
And when you go abroad, you are put through a rigorous test before you can get your license. I mean, people celebrate there when they get a driving license.
that is one thing, and you see they have a party. You're
Yes.
right. The second thing you see, again, if you refer to my paper, there is a CPC module which compels them, for a heavy truck driver who's making his living out of it, has to go through those training modules every 18 months.
Yes.
And if he doesn't go through that, he cannot drive the vehicle.
So there's a refresher
Cut to
kind of a thing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And cut to, when you see this ecosystem in here, forget about the license. When we, in 2016, when we really got down to this, we saw almost 12 to 15% of our drivers were actually having fake licenses.
Yes, correct.
Right. So now imagine that situation now, where forget about the trainings, forget about everything, the essential. And then when I look back at the penalty for fake driving, that was 1,000 rupees. So the problem is, we've been talking about e-challans. I saw everything what you
Yes.
you were also talking about it. E-challans is good, very good, brilliant step. Should increase.
Yes.
People should get in discipline. Everything is rightly done. But when it comes to things like the fake licenses, things like the which are essentially addressed towards the drivers, I see somehow over the years, all the governments, I can be totally wrong on this, but they have taken a softer spot for them,
Yes.
which I think we should not be taking a stick in our hand, but can get a little stringent over
You
the
have to.
years,
You have
slowly and slowly, and then you will ultimately see that we probably have. And I was listening to Mr. Gadkari in one of the podcasts. I forgot which one was it, and he's very aggressively working on the road safety front, but he
Absolutely.
accepted it that we have been wronged.
He's also given up in a sense that, the government has given you good roads, your vehicles are good. It is up to you to drive safe.
Totally.
I mean, you can't expect a third party to do that for you.
Yeah.
And it's small things. I mean, we don't need to do something big. Just drive safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just follow the rules, basically.
Yes, the rules are there.
The rules are there. You should, but if you do a small research on this, I think just pull out 100 people on the road and just ask them the basics of roundabout driving and driving on, which is already there in our rules and regulations, but no one knows about it.
We will continue our interaction with Rishab after this very short break. You are watching Mahindra Truck and Bus presents Rising Star, a Trans India exclusive.
इंजीनियरिंग हो या मेडिकल, स्पोर्ट्स हो या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, आज इंडिया हर जगह अपना परचम लहरा रहा है। एक साल में 13,800 किलोमीटर के हाईवे बना रहा है। समुंदर के ऊपर 22 किलोमीटर लंबा मुंबई ट्रांस हार्बर लिंक बना रहा है और बुलेट ट्रेन के साथ कई मेट्रो रेल प्रोजेक्ट ला रहा है। प्रगति की राह पर तेजी से आगे बढ़ते नए इंडिया के साथ चलने के लिए पेश है नए इंडिया का नया टिपर महिंद्रा ब्लेजो एक्स एंड्योरा टिपर 35 टन और ब्लेजो एक्स एंड्योरा टिपर 28 टन। इन दोनों को कुछ इस तरह डिजाइन किया गया है कि ये मुश्किल हालात में भी बिना थके और बिना रुके अपना काम करते रहें। इसी वजह से इसके एग्रीगेट्स और बॉडी को बनाया गया है एक्स्ट्रा स्ट्रॉन्ग। ब्लेजो एक्स एंड्योरा टिपर आता है नए वी रॉड बोगी सस्पेंशन के साथ, जो इतना मजबूत है कि ये हर तरह के कठिन रास्तों पर भी ज्यादा स्थिरता दे और नियंत्रण के साथ चले। इसमें है नया 15i बोल्ट रेयर एक्सल, जिससे आपका टिपर हर लोड लेकर चलता रहे सालों साल। इस टिपर की बॉडी दमदार तो है ही, साथ ही अब इसमें है नया हॉरिजॉन्टल लॉक, जो अनलोडिंग को बनाए आसान। एंड्योरा टिपर में है 6000 घंटों में सिर्फ 7 शेड्यूल्ड सर्विस इंटरवल्स, जो मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट में करे 12% की बचत। और पहली बार ब्लेजो एक्स एंड्योरा टिपर के साथ आपको मिलता है 24 घंटे का ऑन साइट सपोर्ट, मतलब 2 ट्रेन्ड इंजीनियर्स रहे हमेशा आपकी साइट पर। साथ ही इसमें है ब्लेजो एक्स रेंज का 7.2 लीटर का बड़ा और पावरफुल एम पावर फ्यूल स्मार्ट इंजन, जिसके माइलेज पर है सबको भरोसा। वर्ल्ड क्लास IMAX टेलीमैटिक सिस्टम, जो आपको दे बिजनेस पर ज्यादा कंट्रोल। साथ ही महिंद्रा के सारे ट्रक्स की तरह ब्लेजो एक्स एंड्योरा टिपर में भी है डबल सर्विस गारंटी, मतलब 36 घंटे की टर्न अराउंड गारंटी और 48 घंटे की अप टाइम गारंटी। और साथ ही पाइए 8 साल या 10,000 घंटे की एक्सटेंडेड वारंटी, जो दे मन की शांति। तो कुल मिलाकर यही वो टिपर है जिससे होगी आपके बिजनेस की तरक्की, यानी देश की तरक्की। तो आज ही अपना ये ब्लेजो एक्स एंड्योरा, नए इंडिया का नया टिपर।
Welcome back to Mahindra Truck and Bus presents Rising Star, a Trans-India exclusive. We are in conversation with Rishab Gandhi, heading Raman Roadways. You'll be surprised when I go to conferences on safe driving. So I know I randomly ask the audience, how many of you genuinely don't talk on the phone while driving?
True.
I don't get maybe a hand or two here and there, but
Totally.
everybody takes it very casually.
Very casual. And it is very casual. And
we don't care basically.
Yeah. So coming back to that, if we have these two buckets, and that is essentially the main area if we focus on as an industry, nothing like it. But when it comes to the shippers, when it comes to the logistics service providers, this is, it can be a controversial one, but this is not our job, right? When I wear the hat of an LSP, this is not my job, right? I can comment, I can probably look things from outside and see, and I can do all those things, but till the time I'm not in the position to really do something there. So what I will always focus on when I see Raman Roadways is probably how to steer this in a right way, in an ethical way. Of course, you cannot, we don't have any, now of course the technology has been so good that we have all the checks and balances to verify whether the driver is like has a valid license or not. But from 2016-17, Girish, the kind of money and the energy, the efforts, you won't believe, for initial 2 years, my time distribution would be 80% and 20%. 80% purely on tech. Purely on, now we have many companies who are giving you bundle software services, yes. But then in 2016 I saw nothing, and it wasn't there at all. And we have our whole team here who essentially is doing nothing but only softwares, and the software and how we can make things better and better and better. The kind of data the vehicle is throwing at you right now, 42 data points, you can calibrate it to 10th of the second.
Right.
The kind of the vehicle is really talking to you right
And
now.
it has made life much simpler for you.
It makes life simpler. No one wants a simpler life. The point is, it makes things so scalable for you.
Yes.
So scalable that today, Girish, I can, if everything goes right, I don't see Raman Roadways not operating 5,000 vehicles in next 6-7 years, because that growth what we've seen from 100 vehicles and in the 13 year, if you break it from the center, bisect it, you will see the growth we've seen in the early first 5-6 years and the next 6 years. It's the major credit goes to the technology, and rightly our team, because they accepted it with open arms. And I wasn't expecting that. I was sure that something will come up, some resistance will come up. None, and they were so good with it, and they were so welcoming with it. And now the AI age, everyone is, in fact, they are not really so educated, but they come up with solutions. They come up with things that we can do this through the AI agent, or we can do this through many different ways. And that tendency and that behavioral change I've seen in the last 5-6 years, because they have seen how their lives have become more easier after this.
Absolutely.
When we are not looking at replacing anyone, but on the hindsight, if you see, the company grew from X to Y maybe 4 times, 5 times, but the kind of retention we have, employee retention, is amazing. Secondly, we did not increase our workforce in the same proportion, because the software was working, the technology was working, and it is not about hiring more people or not hiring more people. It is about upscaling the current thing. And no one believed in the day one when I said that we can operate a 50 crore branch who's having a sales of 50 crores with 3 people. No one thought that this can happen.
Actually.
And now we are at 2 people.
Wow.
You just have to focus on placements, right? You don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to worry about broker ka hisab kya hai, ye kya hai, wo. You don't have to think anything else other than placements, service levels, and own fleet. That's it.
And just let the systems play on its own.
The system plays on its own. We've much now with OCRs and vision technologies, we have the things are so easy now. You click an invoice and you have your LRs ready, and you don't have to put in any data entry and all that. So things are moving at that pace, right? And if you see that, it is getting better and better and better. And that graph, as per Elon Musk, might start going down once you do complete, the automation. But then, of course, we are too small to think on that level. But yeah, when we see that,
but we are on track.
We are absolutely on track. There will be flaws, there will be room of improvements always, and we don't say we are perfect. For sure, we are not. But we are on track. We are doing all the right things. That is what I believe.
Rishab, one last question.
Yeah.
You went to the Mahindra Empower program.
Right.
What were the key takeaways?
Okay, so Mahindra,
I know it's been a while since you went through the course.
It is echoing in me every day, and it has been one of the most important event of my life, you can say. Everything changed after that. The kind of inclination I had for academia after Empower. Of course, I was always inclined to it, but then the kind of multiplication it gave me,
right? And
with that multiplication and the things I did after that, it all credits to Devjit sir and IIM Ahmedabad and Mahindra. Of course, that was the key. They were the key drivers of it. But Empower, I was doing my CA that time. I just completed my CA around that time, and it really I was focusing on the business, all these technologies, all these thought processes, because being a chartered accountant, your first bet is You just come in and sit on the finance seat. So
Right.
I totally did not do it. Whereby he took care of all the
Okay.
finances, and I did not interfere at all.
Uh-huh.
Given a choice, I was being on the fence because I really wanted to work on other things, and that leverage of mind came from Empower program. And after that, then again, whatever I did on the research side, everything, the anchor was Professor Devjit Roy and the whole IIM Ahmedabad, and of course the Empower program. So yeah, it gave me a lot of leverage in life, both personally and academically. It gave me a different perspective of what I can do and what I can leverage upon. Why these small courses, or rather longer ones, are not just for your time. It is for how do you open and apply those things in real world, and we've seen the results.
Thank you, Rishab.
Thanks a lot.
Rishab is one of the very few youngsters in the industry who is extremely positive on the growth prospects of the road transport industry. His focus is on technology and providing service levels to his customers that make him irreplaceable. He counters the same problems as every other transporter in the industry, including the extreme freight war, but he uses efficiency and technology to his advantage. While he is way ahead in terms of technology, he is still looking at many more options, and this is what a rising star is all about. You have been watching Mahindra Truck and Bus presents Rising Star, a Trans India exclusive. We will be back with you next week with yet another very engrossing interaction. Until next week, stay safe and drive safe. Jai Hind.